Welcome to the Pitch Your Pick podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the sports books, find our favorite plays, and pitch them to each other to find the best bets every day. I'm Joe. This is Jay, who's smirking over here while I'm doing a whole intro. How you doing today, my man?
I'm good. We had a pretty good day of March Madness. We got to watch a layup line in the first game. That was fun.
Yep.
And then that made up for it in the second game with that double overtime thriller. That was a good game with Notre Dame winning the second one.
Yeah, let's get into that quickly on our picks performance. You can, this is just the yesterday's picks. But anyway, Notre Dame, -1 versus Rutgers. That was a quick little cash right at the end. Bryant versus Wright State. Bryant decided that they weren't going to play any defense. And Kiss was so focused on flexing his, wonderful biceps that he forgot that he actually had to hit shots this game. So, that was pretty tough for him. And Miles Bridges caught me on the hook. He had 30 points, rebounds, and assists because he scored 18 in the first half. And scored 0 in the second half. So that hold me. But the Raptors, despite Van Vliet missing 2 of his last 4 free throws, still got that quick little cash for you. So you got lucky in that. So.
Hey, you want to know what else cashed last night that I bet personally today?
What'd you get?
Timberwolves spread. Lakers are free cash. We
always gotta sneak in the Lakers, slander at some point in the podcast. Sorry to Lakers fans, but Cat dropped a fat 30, and when Malik Monk is the leading scorer on your guy that pops up as the game leader, the person that performed the best, you did something wrong as a Lakers team
I think D'Angelo Russell even went 3 for 11.
He was 1 of 7 actually, so it wasn't good.
Didn't even get the chance to go 3 of 11.
So anyway, we have a really special podcast today. I've personally gone and compiled a list of one single bet for every single game in March Madness today, and I'm actually going to just be pitching them to Jerry. So this is the first time we've done this, but he had a day where he got to just pitch all these NHL props that were such fugazi, by the way, while I was gone. And then
I went 4-2.
It was 3-3.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure it was 3-3 on your Twitter day. But either way,
4-2.
We got all these wonderful days of games, and I have a single bet in each one. I'll be telling Jared about them, and we're just gonna have fun. So this is we got 15 games today, 16 games, 16 games today, 16 games today, and I have a bet on every one of them. So this will be fun. So the first one we're starting off is Michigan and Colorado State. And I actually should switch this to the wonderful 2 picture of both of us. That way we can all see it. Michigan and Colorado State. Now, we both got to talk about this game. And despite people really heavily favoring Michigan, I think Colorado State has a really good chance in this game. So I'm picking him as a +1. I think people are really undervaluing how good Colorado State has been. And the fact that Colorado State really has played in a harder conference. I think a lot of people have given them credit for. They're going against teams like Boise State and San Diego State consistently, who are 2 of the best defensive teams in the country. So I really don't think Michigan is going to be bringing anything crazy into this game that Colorado State hasn't seen before. And Michigan will be down at Devontae Jones, who has a concussion. And without him on the court, I was checking the plus minuses between on-court and off-court production. There's a 9.8 offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency difference for this Michigan team when Devontae Jones isn't on the court, which is second to only their best player, Hunter Dickinson. So I think that's a huge difference for this team. They're just significantly worse without Jones on a court. So it does suck that we don't get to see this full team, but I think that just kind of completely sold me on the Colorado State Rams right here, because both these teams are offensive juggernauts, and Colorado State has still been a crazy good offensive team against a team like San Diego State, who's crazy good defensively. So I just like them a little bit better to take that +1 here.
Yeah, no, I like that. I'm a fan of this Colorado State team too, and I'm not a big believer in Michigan. My other lean on this game, which usually you would lean dog in under, my other lean would be the under here. I think Colorado State is probably going to take the absolute air out of the basketball.
It's possible.
It's going to frustrate the heck out of Michigan.
Yeah, but I mean, Michigan does play relatively slow themselves. I think the only thing that's going to be a problem is if Hunter Dickinson can get it going, because the Colorado State doesn't have the most size down there, so it can be tough, but I still like them a bit better. Hey, there we go. It wasn't. Let me go back for a second. The next game that we have is one that I've personally picked as an upset in my bracket, so people may be thinking I'm a bit fugazi here. for picking the opposite end of this, but I'm going to be taking Providence at -2, even though I really like South Dakota State to get an upset here. Just betting wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go and bet on South Dakota State. If they do get the upset, that's great. Providence is just the better team. South Dakota State gets their wins by straight outscoring opponents and outshooting opponents. So obviously, if they have a bad offensive night, they're not going to win because they just aren't good defensively. And although I'm really not convinced on this Providence team, they are really good all around. They can, hold teams down. They can score it well. Their main problem is just inconsistency. I do think the Jackrabbits are going to come out here and give us an absolute show. And it's the Jackrabbits. We got to give some love for that name. It's goated, man. We love it. But Providence is just better at the spread than South Dakota State is in general. And you got to pick one of the most experienced teams in college basketball to at least get out of the first round if you were just a betting man. And that's what we're doing here. So we're taking Providence at -2.
Yeah, no, I think the Jackrabbits have a chance in this game as well. But looking at the numbers, like the way they play defense, this kind of giving me Bryant vibes here, where they're going to be trying to take a lot of shots in a hurry that aren't going to be necessarily high quality against a pretty decent Providence defense.
Yeah.
And the Providence just will be the better team in this one. So I think you just got to go with Providence here. Even you could take them on the money line at -135, and that's not that bad.
Yeah. I think either way, it's a bad matchup, like style wise for Providence, but they're one of the most, experienced teams in college basketball. You would think that they would know how to handle this and are prepped for it.
Yeah. I just don't think this run and gun chuck threes offense is going to win a March Madness game really anywhere when there's just too much pressure to come out and start chucking threes, make your first 3 or 4, and then continue that run for 20 straight minutes, 40 straight minutes. That's crazy.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
You got to have some easy buckets to get.
The next one here is one that I think is wild, and this is because I think 70% of the money is going towards Memphis. And we talked about it in our bracket. We both, before we even looked at any of the analytical stuff, that we thought Boise was going to win here just based off the matchup. So pretty interesting that people are leaning that. And I think even KenPom has Boise State as slight favorites by like 1, or Memphis is only a 1-point favorite. So the fact that Boise is +3 here, I'm going to be taking that. Boise and Memphis are both kind of like a little bit better defenses than they are offense, especially Memphis. They had a really tough start this season. But they have been 10-1 since, only losing, I think, their most recent game against Houston, which, it's Houston. You can't really fault a team for losing to them. But what Houston does is play really good defense. What Boise State does is play really damn good defense. So I think Memphis is going to struggle with that because Memphis is one of the most prone to turn the ball over teams in the country. They're just inexperienced and they don't really just handle the rock well. And Boise State is great at forcing you into turnovers and then getting out there on transition. I just think the fact that Boise came out as slight favorites and it's been bet all the way down to a +3 and a +140 at the money line for Boise State, I kind of just have to take the value here because I think Boise State personally can win. They're 18-15 at the spread as well. They just came off a win against San Diego State, who I would argue is a harder matchup than Memphis. So I got to take Boise here.
Yeah, no, I have no argument with this pick, honestly.
There shouldn't be. We picked them.
The thing that really sticks out to me is in games away from their home buildings this year, Memphis is, 8-8. And Boise State is 14-4 in games away from their own home building.
Doesn't matter where they are.
Discrepancy there. And you could argue conference or whatever, but Boise's playing in a pretty good conference with they're playing San Diego State and
Colorado
Wyoming
State
and Nevada. Yeah, Colorado State. They're playing some good teams. So going into those teams' buildings and probably beating some of those teams.
Yeah. I think really the main thing is we've seen it in these last 4 games that we've watched, just in the first 4 out. If you are a person who is betting, it is a stupid choice at this point to bet on a team that turns the ball over.
Yeah,
it's just how it is, man. Because you turn the ball over, getting free chances to the other team, and I personally don't want to put my money on a team who is prone to just giving up layups to the other team. That's just personally not what I like to do. So we'll go with that. Anyway, the next one here is a blistering Norfolk State versus Baylor. And I think that this is a pick that should make some sense here. I think Norfolk State played Gonzaga last year and absolutely let Gonzaga have their way with them. So, I'm kind of looking for the same here, and I'm picking Baylor's over on their points at 79.5. Now, Baylor isn't a team that really puts up a whole lot of buckets, but Baylor is as healthy as they have been all season, and I think that's really great coming into a matchup here where they've had a lot of guys out all season. I think they want to come in here, make a point, make a statement that, we're here, we're ready for it, and just go out and absolutely kill it. I don't really think Norfolk State is really the best defense out here, and Baylor is a crazy good opponent, honestly. I think Norfolk State is really just going to get held down to absolutely nothing, and Baylor's just going to come out here and absolutely cruise because Norfolk State does have, a really good 3-point defense, but I actually went in and looked at the opponents that they've been playing, and based off of the offenses that they've had to guard, those offenses are ranked 358th, meaning they're playing some of the worst average offenses in the game, and now they're going to have to go to a Baylor team who is damn good, has a great offensive ratings, and has gone against some of the best defenses in the country. I just don't think that Norfolk is ready, and I think betting on Baylor to get 80 points against these guys is a pretty safe assessment here.
Yeah, I think that's easy. That's a free 80 points.
Yeah, honestly.
I was going to say bet the 20.5. But yeah, I like only 80 points. Yeah, they're going to... We watched what 16 seeds look like today. They can't compete with Baylor.
No. Baylor is just amazing. That's no hate to Norfolk State. They're the best in their conference, obviously. They're not Baylor.
It's just not Baylor's conference.
Yeah, just not Baylor. And we'll be looking at another team who is probably not going against anybody that is really up to their par, and that is Tennessee and Longwood. I have Tennessee to hold Longwood to under 56.5 points, which may seem a little bit fugazi, but Tennessee is the third best defense in the country, and they hold opponents in the toughest conference, one of the toughest conferences, I should say. It's a debate between Big Ten, Pac-12, SEC, whatever. But they hold opponents in that SEC conference to 63 points per game, and those are against some of the most potent offenses in the game, like Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas, who they've all played at least once, or most of them multiple times. So holding those teams to 63 or less is crazy. They just held A&M to only 50 points, and they held Kentucky to 62, Mississippi State to 59. So this Tennessee team locks it down, and Longwood is only the 111th best offense compared to that third Tennessee defense. They are one of the worst 2-point shooting teams in the country. As soon as they get inside the 3-point arc, they just can't hit it as consistently. I just don't really love that because Tennessee also holds teams to top 50 lowest percentages in both 2-point percentage and 3-point percentage. So exactly where Longwood is weak, Tennessee is great. And I think that Longwood could probably come out here, put up a nice 50 like A&M did, and call that night as that was a good showing.
Yeah, I like that play. Tennessee's defense is ridiculous. And if you're not getting easy buckets, you're not getting 50 points because you're not hitting enough threes against Tennessee to get 50.
Yeah, and if you watch this Tennessee team too, I think they're probably one of the best teams in the country at playing good defense and just not fouling. They just wall up the rim so beautifully. And against a team who already can't, finish at the rim and have to rely on their 3-point shots, I can't bet on that on 50 under 56.5. That's my money there.
They're not scoring.
And next one is actually a bet that we literally were talking about right ahead that you saw and it caught your eye. This is Iowa versus Richmond, and Iowa's a great team. I think that Iowa is going to win this game. I'm just going to put that out there now, but I think 10.5 is
it's very steep.
Very steep spread for a Richmond team that excels at the things that Iowa's weak at. Now, Iowa is one of the best run and gun teams, chuck up threes, just have fun. Iowa is just a super fun team to go and watch play. But Richmond has the D1's leading steals man. I'm not going to keep forgetting that. This guy always is ripping the ball out of players, and Iowa's really prone to turning the ball over. So while Richmond gets a lot of steals, Iowa turns it over a lot. Richmond also is one of the most experienced and least prone to turn over the ball teams, so they're going to take their chances very seriously. They also shoot very efficiently from the court. They make sure that they're going to make all these count. I do think that Keegan Murray can be a problem for this Richmond team, but I just think in general, looking at these two teams, with how Iowa plays and how Richmond plays, I just kind of like Richmond to cover this quick little spread. I think that Richmond is going to lose. I just think it's going to be more in like the 5-6 kind of point range unless Iowa just comes out crazy and shoots like 40% from deep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this spread I think the spread's inflated because Iowa is one of the best teams against the spread in the country.
Those are one of the hottest teams right now.
Yeah, and then it's probably shaded that far because there's probably more Iowa fans betting this game. Like, I think this spread's just a little too much. Iowa probably wins this game, but I don't think they beat them by 10 or more than 10.
Yeah, they can beat them by 10. That's fine. Just don't beat them by 11.
Yeah.
That is fine.
Just don't beat them by 11.
Don't beat them by 11. The next one, it's a bit of a treat. Gonzaga in Georgia State. We love this. We love this. Now, the reason that I'm taking this where I am, which is a total game over between Gonzaga and Georgia, is just because you rarely get the chance to bet on a Gonzaga game over on under 150 points. So this one's over 148.5 for Gonzaga. And Gonzaga is the number 1 offense in the country, and they play at the number 4 pace. Georgia State is not ready for that. I don't care what the coach has said in the locker rooms because it's all lies. Unless he said we're gonna lose by 20, and we just have to accept that. The only way that Georgia State keeps this relatively close is if every single starting player on Gonzaga gets injured, and the bench guys got to come in, and even then, I think it's a 10-point win. So I just think that this is perfect here. They have Gonzaga's line at somewhere around 85, 86 points. I think Gonzaga is going to be somewhere around 110, 120 points, which is going to mean that Georgia State really only has to score 30 or 40 points themselves, and boom, we hit that nice 150 over. So I'm taking the game total over 148.5. I don't know how they have any Gonzaga games below 150. They play so fast and are so good offensively. I just think this is PCK.
Dude, this is going to be a layup line.
It is going to be a layup line.
Over. It's a layup line. A dunk show. A 3-point contest. Whatever you want to call it. This is going to be the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, I think even the St. Mary's game, who St. Mary's is a much better team. They're much better defensively. This game was only 1 point lower, I think, on the total. And St. Mary's is a much better team. So just to put that out there, I think this may... I understand that they have to put it, but it's just crazy.
Oh, and that total went over by 10.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that one was a freebie, but we'll move on. The next one is probably going to be one of the most close and funny games to watch, and this is... it moved my screen here. Marquette in North Carolina. And I don't know why I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. I know what I bet on this. I'm betting the over 151.5. Now, 151.5 is a bit steep. But these teams are the layup line teams. Both of these teams love to sprint and play no defense. And I love that. Marquette is 25th in pace, and North Carolina is 39th in pace. These guys run layup lines to start the game as warm-ups, and that's the exact strategy that they imply in the actual game. Is just line it up, take the layups, move on, let the other team get a layup, and let's just hope that we make more of those layups before the game ends. And it's just, I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. Both these guys are great offenses. Marquette's a bit better inside, and North Carolina's a bit better from the three-point line, which is always going to be nice. They're actually 56 in the country in three-point percentage. Both these defenses are pretty solid, but I think what's going to happen, especially as we get down towards the end of the game, is with how fast this game is most likely going to be played and how thin some of these benches can be, is these guys are going to get gassed, the defense is going to get worse, and the total's just going to rocket up. And I also just didn't feel comfortable betting on 3.5 for either way in this game, because when there's so much pace and not as much defense that I think is going to be played, I'm just going to go with the over here and just hope for an absolute barn burner.
Yeah, we saw this game already today. It was the Wright State Bryant game. Layup line. That game almost had I think it had 180 points.
Yeah, almost.
So,
or around it. Yeah, especially because what is it? Both of these teams, I think, can average somewhere around 70, 75. So them playing each other, they should be expected to average more than that. But hey, again, I'll take it. It looked like a bit of a freebie. I will obviously be watching all of these games today, but that is one that I'm particularly excited about watching. The next one, another one that we've talked about, New Mexico State and Uconn. We both have said that we like New Mexico State. 91% of people are picking UConn to win here, on ESPN's prediction. But I think about only 65% of the money is actually going to UConn, which I think is kind of surprising because New Mexico State is just a perfect counter to UConn. UConn's, main thing is that they're very streaky from three, but they really pound the offensive glass to try to get those second chance opportunities and put it back up. It's a full team effort. And with full team effort and, constantly running like that, you obviously are prone to more fouls, but you got to love the extra effort. I do think this is a game that UConn wins, but I think people aren't giving credit to New Mexico State for the fact that they are one of the best rebounding teams in the country, especially in the defensive end. They're not going to let UConn get as many as those chances that they're used to. And with how streaky UConn can be from three, they can't really rely on that too much and have to go inside. And New Mexico State is still pretty good at defending the rim there. So I think it's hard to trust this UConn team with their inconsistencies. But they are pretty good at the free throw line, I think. So all around, I'm going to take New Mexico State at plus 6.5 here, just to have them cover that spread. I do think UConn could probably win this by a point or two. I just don't see New Mexico State getting absolutely, blown out the water, especially with the pace of this game being towards that middle end. I think 5-6 points probably be around where this may be decided, but I'm going with New Mexico State to cover this little spread here.
Yeah, I like this play too. And with UConn, I don't even know if you can call it inconsistencies at this point. I think they're just underwhelming to what people thought they would be.
That's fair.
They're 2-8-1 in their last 10 games against the spread.
And you gotta love that New Mexico State's 17-12 on the season against the spread.
Yeah, they've also covered in 3 straight games. They've covered in 5 of their last 7. Yeah, I just don't love this UConn team. There's nothing special about them, and ever since I saw this matchup and started looking at it, it just smelt like an upset.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the closest 5-12 match in the game, which is why, or in the tourney, which is why I think that 6.5 may be a little wild. And I could be wrong. Yeah. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope every single game, honestly, is close, besides Georgia State and Gonzaga. But I think that this one should be a pretty clear cut cover that spread.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, every time I say that, actually, it's wild. Anyway, I have another pick here. That's real easy. St. Peter's under 56.5.
Freed. Move on.
I'll just give some quick basis to why we're doing that. That way I can post it on TikTok. St. Peter's is 260th in offensive rating, and Kentucky is 25th in defensive rating. They're 12th in block percentage. They are 100th in steal percentage and 60th in non-steal turnovers forced, while also holding opponents to the 33rd lowest three-point attempts. And they're going against some of the best teams in the country: Tennessee, Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama. And St. Peter's is at the bottom, 250 when it comes to field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and 2-point percentage metrics. I think this is a horrible matchup for the St. Peter's team. I love these guys. They are the Peacocks. I love that. But they're going under 56.5 points here.
Thanks for coming out, boys.
Thanks for coming out, boys.
Enjoy the moment.
Sorry I had to go this way.
But you are not scoring 56 points.
Sorry I had to go this way. So anyway, I pressed the wrong thing. We'll go back to this next matchup, which is one that, again, we've talked about a few of these, so we could kind of see some opinions here. But this is St. Mary's and Indiana, and this is going to be the opposite, the literal polar opposite of Marquette versus North Carolina. This is methodical, slow as hell ball games. That's it. These are two of the slowest teams in the country, and they also are two of the best defensive teams in the country. St. Mary's is actually crazy good, the 9th best defense in the country, and the 338th slowest team. Indiana plays a little bit faster at 186th, but they are more than happy to play slower like they did against Wyoming. Their normal slow pace went down to a snail's pace against Wyoming, and it was just post up after post up after post up, and I'm pretty sure I fell asleep 3 times before halftime in that game, if I'm being 100% honest. And then I woke up whenever Jackson Davis got a dunk. But it's just not going to be a fast game. Both these teams play slow. In the last 8 games St. Mary's has played in the tournament, they've slowed it down even more, and the under is actually 7-1 in their last 8 games where they appear in the tournament. So I'm kind of looking for that trend to continue. Both of these teams have gone under in 3 consecutive games each, where they haven't even played each other. So I'm pretty comfortable taking the under at 126.5 here.
Yeah, well, and we saw this Indiana team struggle to get open shots against
Wyoming.
Wyoming. I don't know why I was blanking on that. But they were working the post a ton very late in the shot clock. They were getting their big men to throw up a whole bunch of post hooks just to get something off at the end of the clock.
And St. Mary's is good
gonna
inside.
Be doing the same thing. I like the under here too.
Yeah, and St. Mary's is really good inside. I mean, this is a team that beat Gonzaga. So you really got to give some credit. And they held Gonzaga to 67 points, and Gonzaga is a much faster and more furious, I guess, offense than Indiana. So I really like the under here against two teams that love to play slow and are more than happy to take up the full 30 seconds of that shot clock.
Yeah, this thing's only seeing 2 possessions on average per minute. I guarantee that.
Yeah, this is
these guys are taking the 30 seconds, 25 seconds. That's what's happening.
Here's what we'll say. This game is played at 7:20 p.m. On TBS, and right before that at 7:10 p.m. is St. Peter's in Kentucky. So whenever New Mexico State and UConn goes to halftime, I think it'd be a good time to have the pizza probably ordered around there so you can open up the box, take a bite or two, maybe, take a pee, whatever you got to do. Plan around this time to probably skip out a little bit because I don't really see many barn burners here unless you think Kentucky dropping an absolute nuke on St. Peter's is going to be fun to watch. So, yeah, that'd be my personal plan anyway. Next game, though, I think is going to be a little bit more fun, though it is probably going to be slow pace. And it's exactly why we're going back with another under with San Diego State and Creighton going under 121 points. No half here, so we have that potential. But I will say, this is just a game between two teams that they just don't, again, like to play that fast. They just play slow and they're great defenses. San Diego State is the second best team when it comes to defense, but they're only 160th in offense. San Diego State can shoot threes, but they really struggle when they attack the rim. Creighton is 17th as the best defense, only 127th in offense. You can kind of see the trend here. Both these teams play really good defense. Both these teams can't score. So they can't score and are also against a good defense. I think this is just a storm for a perfect under pick here between these two teams. Both these teams also hold opponents to frighteningly low shooting percentages, especially, inside. So I think where San Diego State struggles, Creighton is good. Where Creighton struggles, San Diego State is good. This won't be a thrilling game, but I think it's one that's going to decide how many brackets you still have perfect at the end of it. So it's still one to watch. But I think under 121 here is pretty safe.
Yeah, I lean under in this game. I don't really have a read on anything else in this game.
And to give, I guess, a little bit more there, check out the last two games these teams played. Creighton versus Villanova was 54-48, and San Diego State versus Boise was 53-52.
Yeah, well, and I can see here, Creighton's 11-21-1 to the under. San Diego State is 12-19 to the under. And my personal preference is leaning under on almost every game, unless it's going to be a layup line game in March Madness, because
teams slow down.
As I said, yesterday, teams slow down. Totals are so sharp, so that minute or two lapse of coming out slow, a cold stretch for 3 minutes of going without a bucket can send a game under in a real hurry when it's not being played at a fast pace.
And especially when it's a San Diego State team who is known for going those 3 to 5 minutes without scoring. So
yeah.
The only worry here is that Creighton has been known to have those just random games where they just pop off. So that could be concerning, but I think as a general rule of thumb, I'm going to take the under here.
Yeah.
And then the next one is the one that I've picked just like that. I think, you like New Mexico State as an upset against Uconn, and we bet on the cover of the spread, and I'll be doing the exact same thing. I like Vermont to upset, and I'm betting on Vermont +5 versus Arkansas. This is just a matchup that Arkansas I don't think absolutely loves. They were upset by the Colgate team in the last few years that played this exact style of ball that Vermont plays. Colgate still plays it. They're playing against Wisconsin. But it's that team-oriented, just shoot smart shots, never take that first shot, pass it to the extra man for the even better shot. And Arkansas seems to really struggle with that for some reason, even though that should be the style of play that most teams play with. But I don't know what happens down there in the SEC. I just think that Vermont is just great all around. They're a really slept-on team, and I think a lot of people aren't really looking at them to upset. But I think keeping this as a close game really could be nice. Arkansas really likes to play fast, finish at the rim, but they struggle to shoot threes a lot. Vermont is really good at defending both the rim and outside, and they like to play a little bit slower. If you can slow down this Arkansas team, they really just don't feel as comfortable, running those sets and hitting those, contested jumpers. It's not really what they're good at. And Vermont is really good at just playing slow, playing efficiently, and making sure that they really get whatever the hell they want. And the other thing that I love about this Vermont team is they are on pace to have the second best defensive rebounding percentage in the history of Division I basketball. They do not give up secondary opportunities. And to an Arkansas team that doesn't necessarily crash the grass crazy, but just won't be getting any of those at all, I think really looks good to Vermont, because whenever you're guaranteed to not let up a lot of points on the glass, you gotta like that matchup. So I do think this is a matchup where I think Arkansas can win this, but I like the upset potential. I like how these teams match up. And I love a team that is on pace to have the second best defensive rebounding percentage ever. It's a team that I want to bet on.
Yeah, no, I think I like the upset potential in this game too still. And I think 5 points is a lot. I know this Arkansas team is good, and I would say they probably win this game. But I think Vermont has the most potential to upset somebody in that seeding.
Yeah.
But I think the way like you said, they play very similar. When teams are good at trading back and forth, good opportunities in the paint, around the basket, within 10 feet, and they're just getting easy shots, those are so hard to defend. Like, good teams hit those 10-foot jumpers no matter where the defender is. I just think this is two teams that are just going to be trading layups all night, playing fairly slow, limiting second chances, and it's just going to be a tight ball game the whole way through. And I just think 5 points is too many on the dog.
Yeah, but I will take it. I will take it.
I'll take it.
Give me my dubs. I will say Arkansas is a scare. What I was going to say is I think whoever wins this matchup almost has a free ride to play Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. I think that it's because this winner plays New Mexico State and Uconn, and I like both of these teams to beat both of those teams.
Yeah.
So this one is a free ride to the Sweet 16, so we'll go with that.
Fair enough.
And then Gonzaga is going to beat either of them. But anyway, the next one is San Francisco and Murray State. I really don't have any good reasoning for why I want Murray State to win this, other than the fact that John Morant went there. For being honest, with being 100% honest, that's why I like Murray State. I do think that San Francisco is a good matchup for them. San Francisco plays fast, but is really good at limiting the opponent's pace. But I think this Murray State team is just riding high. They are 30-2. I think they've won 20 consecutive games. This team just doesn't know what it's like to lose, and I don't think they're going to start in the first round of March Madness. Murray State is still a college that wants to prove that they can hang with the big dogs. They should be moved into a bigger conference because they're absolutely slaughtering teams every single year. So I really like them here to just cover this 2.5 spread versus San Francisco, especially if San Francisco still keeps that fast style of play and doesn't really limit this Murray State team to a super slow and grinded out halt. I think that Murray State can take this just a little bit. But again, this one's more of a gut feeling. It's not necessarily like a, yeah, for sure. But I will say if San Francisco does win this one, my brackets, yikes.
I think this is just a game where you have to bet what you think's going to happen. There's not really any analytic that's going to tell you to bet either way.
Because they both look good.
They both look good. They both are seated probably correctly where they should be. And you just got to pick who you think is going to win. You got to ride it. And I like Murray State in this game too.
Yeah. Another thing that I like is Murray State has the ability to really lock down teams. Like you can see against this game against Belmont, who's a really pretty damn solid team. They're 25-8. They've played in the same conference. Ohio is also a really good team. Murray State has actually held both of those teams to crazy bad shooting. So I do like them a little bit better in that matchup. It's probably just the fact that I love John Morant that's making me feel that way, but I'm going to go with it. Go with my gut on this one.
Yeah, no, I like that.
The next one, Akron and UCLA, and this is one that it's another gut feeling, but I'm picking UCLA over 71.5 points. I think that's really low for this UCLA Bruins team. UCLA last year went out on a Jalen Suggs half-court three that banked in. I know these guys the entire season have been wanting to get back to March Madness and prove that they should have won it last year, and I think they're going to come out. And sadly, Akron just has to be on the other hand of that absolute whooping that is going to be coming out against this UCLA team. I just think it's going to be crazy. Johnny Juzang is absolutely the best player on this team, and he's number one in my heart. I'm just super excited to see this guy come out here and just absolutely hoop it against this Akron team, who is granted pretty good, but UCLA is one or two one possession games from being a 2 seed in this tournament. They are probably the one of the only teams who I feel like got slighted on their seeding. So I could really see this UCLA not only trying to prove that they should have got to that championship game last year, but prove that they deserve to be a higher seed in this tournament with this first game by just giving Akron an absolute ass whooping. So we'll be taking over 71.5 on this.
Yeah, no, I think that's free cash too.
Yeah.
Looking at their last 10, they just scored 76 against Arizona, 69 USC, 70, 75, 75, 77, 94,
it's
76, 76.
Looking good.
They're always pretty much around it against teams who don't take the air right out of the ball.
And this guy, Johnny Juzang, he's just built diffy. That's my man. 6'7", plays the 2 guard, absolute cash. And
layup lines.
What I love about UCLA is they don't play insanely fast, but they love to force mismatches between teams so they can get their 6'7", shooting guard Johnny Juzang on the 5'10" PG, and then they give it to him Kobe ISO style and just let him work in that midi. Throw out the mellow jab step, spin it around, and he's got an almost Curry-like jumper, and it's just so beautiful to watch this guy hoop. I really hope he puts out a show because I've been hyping this guy up since last year, and I really just want to see him go at it, man. So UCLA over 71.5.
Let's see it.
That's my dubs. I'll take that one.
Let's see it.
And the last game, I've told Jared about this one, and he already, or not last game, second to last game. I don't know why the Loyola Chicago game isn't popping up at the bottom here for me, but it's not. But I'm pretty sure Loyola Chicago's today, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, it's tomorrow at 12:15. All right, well, I booked Loyola Chicago. We'll save that. We'll save that one for tomorrow. Anyway, the last game is Texas Southern and Kansas. I've already told Jerry about this one, and he agreed with it before, so I'm just going to pitch it again here. And it's Texas Southern under 60.5 points. Both of us personally watched that game versus Texas A&M CC. We both kind of wish we didn't. But Texas Southern was turning the ball over like crazy against A&M CC. So I think under 60.5 here is going to be crazy. It's crazy free money here just because Texas Southern doesn't handle the ball well at all.
The only over 60.5 I would take is over 60.5 turnovers.
Yeah. I feel bad for these Texas Southern guys because they are a good team. They're a great defense. They have a really deep bench. If this was anybody else than Kansas, I think they may be able to score 60.5 like they did against Texas A&M CC, but I just don't think they're ready to go against this Texas team who's holding even guys like Texas Tech to 65, West Virginia to 63, Texas 63, TCU 68 and 62. I just don't think that Texas Southern has the options to put buckets on this Kansas team.
And Texas Southern, I don't think plays with a ton of pace either to begin with, so they'll be struggling to get up to enough possessions.
Well, they were struggling to hold the ball enough to get enough shots against Texas A&M TC.
It didn't even matter the pace; they were just throwing it away.
Oh man, it's like absolute butterfingers.
They probably had the quickest pace in the rebound turnover.
Anyway, I think I've actually done a full write-up and already shown it for our daily picks today. Oh, look at that. The most picks that we've ever had on the podcast, and I think aside from tomorrow, it'll stay as the most picks we've ever had on the podcast, unless Jared goes absolutely nuts one day and tries to pick me 10-player props for the NHL. So, here they are.
I don't know if that's happening, boss man.
I hope it doesn't happen, boss man. Can't listen to 10-player props for the NHL. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to pretend to care for that long.
I won't put you through it.
Anyway, I'm not gonna read all 16 of these out again. So go back a little bit if you want to see my reasoning on any of these. But these are our 10 picks today. Hopefully you guys can make some money on these. I think there's some of these that are pretty free money, if I'm being honest. But we'll see if that happens. And as Jared and I talked about a little bit before the podcast as well, we're thinking about putting some of these in and doing a little round robin kind of action, see what happens. Just a little trial and error because it's March Madness. Let's have some fun, try out some new strategies. So that's something you guys could look into. Either way, if you're listening to us on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, hit that like button down below, comment what you guys think, and subscribe if you guys are new. And if you guys are listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, make sure leave a wonderful 5-star review for hearing our sexy voice. And yeah, that's really all I got for you today. So go out there, make some bets, preferably these bets, and make some money.
See ya!